Folks, everyone is talking about the looming recession. Your friends, your coworkers, the news, even your mom are all certain that there will be a huge recession in 2023. In reality, it's not guaranteed. The first thing to understand is the technical definition of a recession. A recession is when an economy experiences 2 consecutive quarters or 6 months of negative real GDP growth. Now let's break that down a little. GDP stands for gross domestic product, and the GDP of an economy represents the total value of all of the goods and services produced within that region or within that country. If it shrinks for 2 consecutive quarters or 6 months, then we are technically in a recession. We only actually know if we're in a recession after we're already in it, because the data that we use to measure this looks backwards. And it may be possible that we are indeed already in a recession. Now, any recession we experience and the inflation which we are experiencing now is a mistake caused by a significant failure of politicians and central bankers in Canada and in the United States. While recessions are a natural part of the economic cycle, government intervention over the past 3 years has severely distorted this economy. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic, governments locked us down, collapsed our economy, and then borrowed huge sums of money and pushed artificially created cash into the economy to compensate for the financial disaster that they created. The amount of monetary and fiscal stimulus was immense. At the same time, and seemingly for ideological reasons, they artificially restricted energy production, creating a global energy crisis, which further accelerated the inflationary pressure. Curiously, they all seemed surprised when a massive inflationary bubble developed and triggered the current economic problems. Folks, collectively, we've been led down a garden path. And if you're watching this video, you likely know it. Neither the central bank, not the US Federal Reserve, nor the Bank of Canada believes that there will be a recession. But both also tried to tell us that inflation that they had so recklessly unleashed was transitory. It was not. When inflation proved not to be transitory, and when it hit 5%, the central banks tried to tell us that we had reached peak inflation. Clearly, it was also not true. The core consumer price index inflation today is about 7% and has hit 9% in many sectors. But baskets of key goods such as gasoline, groceries, and utilities have risen significantly more, some more than 20%. The next point is critical. It makes little difference if we are in technical recession or not, because the expected contraction in the economy is the issue all by itself. And the magnitude of the anticipated contraction is massive in both the United States and in Canada. Let me quote the most recent statement by the Bank of Canada and its expectations for our economy. Quote, "The annual average GDP growth is therefore projected to decline from about 3.25% this year to just under 1% next year." Unquote. That is nearly a 70% contraction in our GDP growth. And keep in mind that our GDP was at 4.8% in 2021 coming out of the lockdowns. So it's this inflation-driven economic braking or slowing which is the primary problem. If the GDP falls further and below 0% and into recessionary territory and stays there for 6 months, then this is really just a byproduct. Thank you for watching. Click the link below to book a meeting with us or subscribe to our channel for more interesting content about markets and economics.